Thanks for listening to Middle Aged and Mediocre. I'm Cash.
I'm Joel.
And we are a podcast about all things strange and unusual, death and UFOs, and other creepy,
Cults,
weird, random
ghosts.
There you go.
Yeah. Not just naming things in the room.
Oh my god.
There's a cult of ghosts.
Count faster.
4, 3, 2,
I'm in a rush.
1, go.
Oh, man. Me up now?
Yep.
Hey, guys. That was Cash. I'm Joel, and we're middle-aged and mediocre. And this is part 2, following part 1. Remember that?
Do you remember what the guy's name?
Fucking Amish Jim.
Yeah, that was it. I can't believe you remember that. So,
He was fucking...
yeah, this is part 2 of our Amish Jim story.
Okay.
Good. Yeah, your memory, man.
What was his name? It wasn't really Jim, was it?
No.
Okay.
No.
Wait. Let me really think here.
You tell me. Let's do this.
Okay.
You just try to review the first part.
Okay.
What do you remember?
So there's this Amish guy, but he didn't like to work.
Right.
He didn't want to put up fucking barns and shit like that. He wanted to like hang out in his little shop.
Yeah, he really wasn't buying into the whole lifestyle.
But he liked to get his wife knocked up.
We didn't like getting her knocked up.
Oh,
actually.
no. Okay, yeah, he didn't like the kid, but he liked to fuck her.
But because you remember, he quit fucking her because he figured out that's how that was happening.
Okay, yeah, I do remember that
Yeah,
now.
he was
review.
dumbfounded the first like 2 kids, and then after the third one, he was like, "Oh, okay."
Happy Splat leads the kids. Okay.
Happy Splat. Oh man, that is romantic. His name was Edward Gingerich.
Yeah, because I was like Ginger. Was he redheaded?
Which is now the only way I can picture him.
Yeah.
Like
he hadn't killed anybody yet, though, right?
No.
He was like doing some shady shit.
He's losing his mind.
Okay.
He married a lady named Katie, and like she's the daughter of one of the elders of the community who is all.
Yeah.
They're all about the community
Working,
lifestyle, the old ways. He's not.
He's more new school.
Basically hates that he's married to her and hates that they have kids, hates his kids, but he is losing his mind slowly. And his leader is a Christian guy.
Oh, yeah, the Christian guy.
Who was trying to get him to come over to that side of things. And the Christian...
apparently they killed people we went over last time.
We did figure out that at some point in history.
If you didn't dig Christianity, and they were just like, well, then it's time to die.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was a big thing for them.
I just wanted to remind everybody.
It was a real big thing for them. So they had crusades about it. So yeah, that's where we are. We left off with him. She punched him in the face. Remember that? Like, he was losing his mind. They came to take him to the hospital, and he, like, grinned at her.
Oh, yeah.
And then she goes off and, like, punches him in the face. And then he tries to, like, beat the shit out of her.
I do remember that.
He goes to the hospital. He acts like everything's fine.
And they let him go.
They end up letting him go. And then, remember, he stands out on the balcony like he's going to kill himself. And his dad and brother come up in the buggy. He jumps off. And it's only, like, a 10-foot drop. So he doesn't kill himself. I think he takes off running naked.
Yeah, I think that. Yeah, because we talked about that in the Will Ferrell.
Yeah. And then his dad and or maybe we just added the part where he's naked because we thought it'd be a funny image of Will Ferrell playing.
We love
this guy.
naked dudes.
We love a naked Will Ferrell.
Oh yeah.
And then his dad and his brother go chasing after him in the buggy. They grab him. They put him back in the buggy and they bring him home. And that's where we left off.
Okay.
So
that's our review.
He's been visiting a doctor, Doc Terrell. Do you remember what the doctor's...
Oh, yeah, giving him molasses.
Black molasses.
Yeah, I remember that.
And what else? What was his other go-to?
Oh, he'd rub his feet.
Foot rubs. Yep. So black molasses and foot rubs is the cure-all for old Doc Terrell.
That and an apple a day will keep the doctor.
Oh, no, he doesn't. No.
No apples.
Does not agree on apples. No, sir. Black molasses and foot rubs. Shoulder rubs every once in a while.
Yeah. It's real bad.
And those things are not working for Edward. He's slowly still losing his mind. So that's where we are. But we'll get to that. We'll get to part 2.
Yeah.
We have other things to talk about because allegedly we are the biggest USFL podcast in America.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah. So that's the rumor going around. We were the first ones.
ESPN doesn't even have their games on their website anywhere to like look up stats or anything.
I watched SportsCenter the other night, and they briefly mentioned that it existed.
Yeah.
And then they moved on. So, but we talked about it.
I watched minutes of action.
I watched the game today.
There was a game today?
There's been one so far. There's
man.
another one tonight, and then 2 tomorrow.
All right.
So, your team, you're going with the New Jersey Generals?
That was last week, Joel.
Okay. You know, so they lost.
Because like New Jersey apparently was the team owned by Donald Trump whenever they were around the first time.
That's why I thought you went with them.
Oh, because of my love for Trump.
Big Donald Trump guy over there.
Huge.
Oh,
can we talk about this real fast? My dad's in town.
Uh-huh.
And he comes while I'm at work, so I leave my keys so he get into my house. And I pull up, and he's got Let's Go Brandon stickers on his car. And I go inside, and he's wearing a Let's Go Brandon hat. And he has a Let's Go Brandon sticker on his cane.
Did you call the cops?
I changed into my Obama shirt.
Okay.
I was like, and I didn't say anything. We went out to dinner, like hung out, like with my daughter. Came back home, and later on, he just looked over at me and he goes, "You should burn that shirt." And I just laughed uncontrollably because I don't know if it took him that long to notice or just the fact that he had to say something. Because I just busted his balls.
He tried to be okay with it, and he just couldn't anymore.
Yeah, he just couldn't.
Yeah, he just kept looking at it.
This son of mine's gonna wear Obama's shirt. But it's good having him in. But
well, I think as soon as you pulled up and saw the stickers, you should have called the police.
Yeah.
And reported somebody broke into your home.
Come get him.
Son of a bitch is wearing a Let's Go Brandon shirt. Yeah,
but yeah. So I don't know if I like the Generals or not.
Well, they lost last week to the.
I might piggyback on your back.
Okay, the Houston Gamblers.
Yeah. Oh, I like them too. I wanted to piggyback.
Oh, you just want to piggyback ride?
Yeah, it helps me think.
Can we do it after this podcast?
Okay, yeah.
Okay, we'll wait afterward. That'll be our.
It helps me think, and then I'll think of a new team.
Okay, that'll be our post-show.
And that is a ruler in my pocket.
Well, also your penis.
Well, it's taped to my penis, the ruler.
Oh, that way you can just always tell people how. Okay. So last week, the Generals lost to the Birmingham Stallions.
Yeah, they were up the whole game, though.
Yeah, but it was a very low scoring.
Fair.
Yeah. The Houston Gamblers beat the Michigan Panthers.
Good.
The Philadelphia Stars lost to the New Orleans Breakers. And the Tampa Bay Bandits beat the Pittsburgh Maulers.
There's no way to verify any of this information.
No, it's really hard, actually, too.
But I'm going to go ahead and believe you.
Our picks last week,
we
both went 2-4.
Oh.
So we're probably not going to do any more picks, though.
Yeah, I don't.
Because we've already missed one game.
We're the #1 USFL podcast in the world.
You only watched a little bit of it?
Yeah, I didn't watch very much.
I actually watched quite a bit. I went over Easter Sunday to my grandma's, and as soon as we finished eating, I went in and watched 2 games. Or I watched 1.5.
You made her turn off her programs?
Yeah.
We're watching USFL, Grandma! It's for my podcast!
No, she was just very confused about who these people were, but she loves football.
Why isn't there anyone in the stands?
Yeah, that was a issue.
Is this a practice? But they had the drone. I did see that. I mean, it was a pretty cool presentation.
So I do have a few thoughts. There's just so much going on. There's everyone's mic'd up.
Yeah.
The players are mic'd up. The announcers are talking. The coaches are mic'd up and talking.
Interviewing them on the bench.
There's interviews happening. This week, the first game today.
It should be called the ADHD USFL.
It would be helpful. They did seem to figure out how to, because last week the announcers kept talking over the coaches, when you could hear the coach talking, calling plays. The announcers would just talk over it. So I was like, well, why do we have all of this if you're going to just everybody's talking at once?
Yeah.
So this week they did seem to they figured out, hey, maybe we should not talk as much over this. So they seem like they've already kind of fixed that. That's
probably because of the email you sent. I say keep sending them.
Strongly worded email.
I say keep sending them.
I have to be the only one they're getting emails from.
Like, guys, we got an email! Like, they gather everybody up around.
We're going to do anything this guy says. Apparently, there was some issues
Josh.
with the football itself. They put, like, a chip in the football so that it has this, like...
Barbecue?
Like a barbecue chip.
Uh-huh.
So that way they can get the best flavor.
Yeah.
From the
The
players in
losing
the
team
field.
has to eat it.
Yes.
The losing coach has to eat the barbecue chip. Barbecue.
The one guy got fired. Did you see? So before...
Yeah. I saw
Before the game
Pat McAfee
starts-
talking about it.
Yeah, like the most interesting thing they're doing right now is before the actual game start
I would get fired too.
on a Saturday, the first hour before the
It
first
seems
game
like entrapment to me.
is like a documentary of the season. They're going to
Yeah.
keep doing it every week. Have a new, and it goes every week. Like they film throughout the week, and then they post it like almost right up to the night. Like I think it's the night before.
Yeah.
Is that when they finish filming and they edit it all that morning or over the night and put it out that morning. So yeah, last week the guy on the Michigan, I think it was the Michigan Panthers or
Yeah,
the Pittsburgh Maulers, one of the two.
I mean, it was Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh, yeah, because they lost today and it was, yeah,
They could have used them.
apparently he came in and the guy, like with all the food, said something about they have chicken salad or
Yeah.
some kind of like tuna salad or something, and he asked if that was going to be a problem. And the guy was like, I just want to get some pizza. And the guy's like, all we have is this chicken salad. Is that going to be a problem? And the guy was like, yeah, because I don't want that. Well, apparently, so they fired him because he was rude to this guy. So this guy fucking, it's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
But
And they showed video of the cutting too.
Yeah. So, but I don't understand why they have different cities assigned to the teams because they only play in Birmingham.
Oh, really?
Yeah, every game for the entire season it takes place in Birmingham.
I don't know if we can verify that. That doesn't sound right.
So, like, unless you live in Birmingham, there's no reason to cheer for any of these teams because you don't really give a shit. Like, they're not really from your hometown. Like, I think they should have went with the NASCAR route and had, like, sponsored teams.
Yeah, Birmingham might be my team then. Did they win or lose?
Last week,
I wish
they
they
beat your team last week. that
Okay.
You were going with. So, there you go. They won, so they become your team.
Yeah, that's how it's going to work.
That's how you're gonna do
That's how it's going to work.
So,
Birmingham, the Birmingham
Stallions.
cheese shakers?
cheese shakers.
Okay.
The Birmingham cheese shakers, because that's what Birmingham, Alabama was really known for. The cheese
Shaking that
shakes.
cheese.
Let's see who they're playing. Your possible new week 2 schedule. Let's.
All right, well, that's Joel on 3. 1, 2, 3, Joe!
They play tomorrow. They play my team,
Oh.
the Houston Gamblers.
Oh, tomorrow?
Both 1-0.
Damn.
So that's a big game right there tomorrow.
That's a big
That's
game.
tonight at 7.
Tonight!
They do have the best player in the USFL though.
Birmingham does?
Yeah.
Is it Barry Sanders? Did he come back?
No.
Okay.
No. Jamar Smith.
Yeah.
So,
Never heard of him.
yeah, he's definitely the best player in the USFL.
What's he play?
He's a quarterback.
Nice.
He actually was the backup. The starter got hurt. He came in and played awesome. So, he's probably got the position now.
You're an expert.
I'm telling you, man. Big USFL shit.
Big.
The only thing I really don't like the biggest issue I have so far is with them not having a crowd. There's really no noise, even though today's game they piped in crowd noise, which helps because at least feels like there's a game happening and not like you're watching practice. But last week, and I can still kind of notice it this week, but like I said, with the crowd noise, it wasn't as bad. But last week, the fucking buzzing from the drone drove me insane. Like, because all
Do you hear it now?
Still kind of hear it, but it might be bees outside. So
The buzzing, make the buzzing go away.
my grandma did ask like 4 times, like,
Yeah.
"Are there bees in here?" And I had to keep going, "No, it's the drone." And then she didn't know what drones were.
Yeah.
So then I had to tell her about drones, and now she's afraid. So yeah, but that's the USFL tonight. Birmingham Stallions, your team,
All right.
going against the Houston Gamblers, my team, and I'm definitely pulling for the Gamblers here.
Yeah, I'm pulling for
Next week, you might be a fan of the Gamblers.
I might be.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
Well, that's USFL talk.
There was.
Big USFL show. We've both been doing some things.
Yep.
I did the other night.
What have I been doing?
Well, you're going to be doing something.
Okay, yeah.
So the other night, it was last Saturday, a week ago, I did a episode of Tripped Up Trivia with some of our friends. Jesse Starcher
yeah,
was
I know
one of the
him.
hosts. So they invited me on. It'll be out soon. I think we'll share it. 4 people. I was one of 4 contestants. You want to take a guess of what position I ended up in? What place?
Position, I mean.
I couldn't think of the word.
I'm going to go with second place.
You might be right.
Oh?
You might be
Oh,
wrong.
you're not going to tell me?
I'm not going to tell you. You guys will have to tune in.
Ah, what a tease.
You have to tune in and listen to see how I represented the show.
Yeah.
I think I represented us very
But
well.
afterwards, you'll tell me, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, off air.
Suckers.
But it was magic themed. It's going to be coming out with like the release of the new Doctor Strange movie.
Okay.
So,
Some real nerd stuff.
it got very nerdy.
I mean, as a dork, I feel like it's okay for me to talk about nerd
Yeah.
stuff.
Well, as someone who thought they were a nerd,
Uh-huh.
on this, like when I did this show, I was like, oh, I'm not, like, I would like to be
Oh,
nerdier.
so maybe you're third or fourth then.
Maybe.
Oh.
You have to listen.
Those tears tell me fourth place.
Or maybe I
that's
did
just-
surprisingly well.
That's why you're crying.
Yeah, because I was so good. But no, I think I represented well, put over the show.
Good. I represent the show everywhere.
That's right.
Yeah.
You have been doing stuff. You've been out there in public
Getting recognized.
Yes.
By complete strangers.
You were very excited. You texted me and told me about this, so go ahead.
Oh, I was at the toy store locally here, and there was a person behind the counter helping out Tony, and I was talking to Tony, and then they were like, "Do you do a podcast?" I was like, "Yes." They said middle-aged and mediocre, and I said, "Oh my God, yes!" But no, I was like, I was like, "Uh-huh." And I said, "Do you listen?" And they kind of laughed and said yes, and I said, "Okay, thanks." He just turned around and walked away.
I got to tell you, man, I think you handle fame very
Yeah,
well.
I didn't really know.
You just ran.
Kind of did.
You do listen?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if people would have expectations of me being like this kind of person
Right.
in real life.
Like if they just hear you, like,
Yeah.
what are they?
Like I'm
what
just
are
gonna
they
start
picturing?
talking about my pee hole. And,
Yeah. You should have just laid some pee hole talk down.
Oh, there's minors. They might have been
If they
a minor.
listen to the podcast, they are they're well aware of the pee hole talk.
But thanks, man. Person.
Yeah, it
That
is
was pretty
cool.
cool.
It's weird.
Lady.
I haven't had anybody recognize me from the I've worked with people who listen to it
say
because I
no.
share it.
Yeah.
But
You jam it down their throats.
I do. Like you will listen.
Or you're fired!
But wrestling, it was always weird when you're out in public
Uh-huh.
and somebody is like, "Hey, Cole Cash," and I was like, "I don't want this. I don't want this
Headlock!
conversation to happen because it's never fun."
Headlock!
I mean, it's not fun.
Yeah, it's nice. It was cool, though.
It's just weird.
I did text you immediately.
Yeah, you were still running at me.
He's got to hear about this. Well, I just wanted to hold it over you.
No, I wonder. So did she recognize your voice then?
Oh, yeah. I mean, probably my laugh.
Say or that, or because the picture on our logo pretty
yeah.
well shows us off.
I had my face with me.
With zombie.
Yeah.
Are we zombies in the thing?
I don't think we are
Or
anymore.
no, our heads are on pikes.
Yeah. But I was pretty high, too, and I was in that weird mall. I don't know, if you get into a mall mode or, a shopping mode where, I was shopping Easter stuff for Lily.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of, and there was, it was 7, they closed at 8, and I was, in a pretty serious zone, trying to get this shopping done. And then when she said that, it just kind of threw me off. I wasn't expecting it.
Yeah, no.
I don't always want to be the podcaster, Cash. Right. Sometimes I just want to be a regular person. I can't be the celebrity all the time.
I understand.
There's my that laugh right there. I'm sure I laughed at something stupid. And I kept talking about Sting. He has a lot of stings in there. If it wasn't one sting, it was another.
I hate you.
You.
I hate me for laughing. Yeah, I was just in there, like, because if I go to the mall, which is once every 7 years,
About that, yeah.
I know the store I have to go to, like, 'cause there's always a specific purpose.
Yeah.
So I go directly to that store, then I get the fuck out.
That's how I was like, I'm going to do the toy store and then GameStop. And my God, GameStop? I thought I was going to be late here because I bought something and it took that long. Would you like to sign up for our GameStop program rewards? Like, I'd have to wait for the guy to go, no, thanks. Would you like to donate money to this, blah, blah? No, I just want to buy this stuff. Would you like to buy a replacement plan for $2? I could buy, and I wanted you to be like, I don't want any of this shit. Like, I just get so tired of it.
That I have sat on your counter, and that is it.
Can I just pay for these and go, I'll pay extra if you just ring me up, don't say anything to me. Like, is there like a special like pass or something I can wear so you know that I don't want anything else? Like, you can't just buy shit anymore.
Right. Yeah, it's just, you do like a $10 like monthly thing, and then every time you go in, oh yeah, there's that guy. Okay.
Like they gotta, like they can't just ask you because if you sign up, then you can save 25% over the next year. I'm like, no, I won't be back for a year.
I didn't know GameStop was still open.
Yeah.
I thought they'd closed down. The only places I go in the mall are the toy store or the bookstore.
Yeah.
I don't try to venture anywhere else.
Food court every now and then.
Too much happening.
Holla pizza place.
Movie theater every once in a while.
Movie theater, yeah.
Yeah. But for the most part, the mall is a nightmare hellscape.
Yeah.
So, no thank you.
And that's why I was in that mode.
I went the other day just to buy...
I can't even go without
Jason
getting recognized.
I know, so you...
Jeez.
You're going to start wearing, like, a hood pulled up over...
But that's why I was talking to Mike. It's not even my looks. Like, should I talk with the British accent?
There you go.
I don't think that was British. But I made Mike laugh. I did, like, we were in the mall, and I just kept talking with the weird accent. And I was like, nobody will recognize me now.
You should just refuse to talk.
Or I could do that.
Yeah, just write everything down. Like, wear, like, a chalkboard around your neck.
That says, don't ask me any fucking questions.
I'm not the guy from the podcast.
Ring me up. Give me my goddamn price.
We'll get you a t-shirt that says, I am not Joel from the podcast.
Yeah, okay.
That'll work. I think that'll take care of all of this.
Oh, yeah.
You'll never be recognized again.
Good.
That'll teach you. Well, you also have the other thing that you do that you can get recognized from.
Yeah, comedy.
We're here right now with Joel. Welcome. Joe, here you're a real funny guy.
Yeah.
Tell us a joke, Joel.
Oh, God.
Tell us something funny, Joel.
Oh, fuck.
Oh, how about this war, Joel?
The slap. Did you guys hear about the slap?
Oh, big things coming out of the
biggest hit
Oscars.
Will Smith had in a long time.
Bauga! All right, so morning radio is done.
Stop.
I would love to hear you on morning radio.
Oh, it would be bad.
You would just be so, like... It would be because you would do exactly what you just did, where you're just like, I don't want to do this.
Oh, please stop talking, and I'll just get my information out. But reluctantly, I'm coming back to comedy. It's been since December that I've even done comedy. Well, it's been a while, so come on out. It's going to be May 14th at the Quality Inn. It starts at 7, and it's a benefit for our buddy Will, a fellow comedian that unfortunately passed away last month. It's going to go towards his son, who's like really good in football, and they just moved to North Carolina or South Carolina, one, but he's like really good, doing good things in football, and he's got his girlfriend they left behind, so it's a benefit for them.
Okay.
And Will was a cool dude. He came over and played chess with me before he moved. He was always really opposite of me, man. Just like he was real, like he always wanted me to try comedy on the Oculus because he did that. He did a bunch of shows on the Oculus, and he kept trying to encourage me to do that. And I was like, no, I don't want to try.
So it is Quality Inn where?
In Marietta, Ohio, 700 Pike Street.
There you go.
7 p.m. the question mark, according to this flyer. So we might get crazy. Because it's comedy and karaoke.
One question mark or two question marks?
Only one. Only one.
All right, well.
I would have gone with 3, because anything goes
I'd have
for
gone with 3, too.
Yeah, you're going to see some butthole if
That's
there's 3 question
yeah,
marks.
Right.
You're going to see
you don't know
3
when.
buttholes.
You don't know when it's going to happen, but it's going to happen.
Yeah.
There will be butthole.
I like to get it out of the way right from the start.
It's a good movie. There will be butthole, one of my favorites. Is there a cover or donations?
It says a suggestion of $10 at the door.
Give the $10.
So if you want to be a prick and be like, no, technically it's a free show, then I guess come and maybe just like buy some other shit, you know, because I know they're going to be auctioning stuff off like with the raffle and stuff like that.
Okay.
You know, maybe it's my butthole you'll see.
Maybe.
Donate enough money.
Donate enough money and you'll promise not to show it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That's how you need to. Your whole set should just be you threatening to show your butthole, unless people start giving some money.
I'll make everybody walk. Will would have wanted it that way.
You see people go and lock the doors, and you're like, "All right, everybody, here's the deal.
Is count down the butthole. Let's see that money." Yeah, but that's coming up May 14th.
All right, Marietta, Ohio.
Marietta, about 3 weeks.
So if you're in the area, check that out.
Check it out. Hey, if you're not in the area, come on to the area.
Make the drive.
Yeah, make the drive.
It's not that far.
It's not.
From wherever you are.
Yeah, you're all pretty local. Except for that one person in Australia, mate. You can come on over.
Yeah, that was something. That was a different voice.
That was a different voice than my own.
Well, do you want to get in the story? You got anything else you can think of? You want to?
I don't have shit.
No more
Happy
threats?
Record Store Day.
It is Record Store Day, which I did not know till yesterday.
Mm-hmm. I picked up some vinyl.
There needs to be like commercials for it or something like.
But would you see it if there was commercials?
Probably not. I mean, I watch I watch sports live.
Yeah.
So they
did a sponsored ad on Facebook. Did you not? You're not on Facebook a lot though.
No.
Yeah.
I'm only there to like promote things, like this show and stuff.
Stalk me.
Stalk you.
Yeah. Those two things.
That's my nightly routine is to check your Facebook. I would have seen it then. I think.
I did share it on my page because I went and helped out. And
yeah, they always just pop up, and I'm never ready for them.
Childish Gambino and Czarface and.
Is it Kawhi? Is that the Childish Gambino? Is that how you or Cowie?
Cowie or Kawhi.
Kawhi?
It was a cool.
The Czarface one looks. It is a awesome. Like everything about it is cool.
Yeah.
Like the packaging and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Looks like a comic book. It comes with the cards. So yeah, that's fun.
Which I think those cards. There was an old Marvel card series, and the packaging made me think that they just use like it's that same style.
Yeah.
So if you do open them, I'm very interested in seeing them.
I'll probably open them tonight.
I didn't think you'd be able to resist.
No. Like I said, Drunk Joel will have his turn. Drunk Joel opens all the toys and everything.
Well, all right. Let's go ahead and hit a break.
Okay.
And then we'll come back.
Ed? Is that his name?
Ed.
Bill?
Ed.
Something gingerly.
Ed Phil Gingerly.
Is it really Ed?
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. Let's just end it there, man. We're not going to top it. I remembered his name.
That's as good as it gets.
Oh, man.
We'll be right back.
I'm a winner.
All right, we are back. So yeah,
I could tell from the countdown.
We're gonna get back.
That wasn't even on the air, and you did a countdown.
3, 2. I gotta get myself back in the mind frame. So we are going to get into part 2 of the Edward Gingerich story.
Part 2.
So as we talked about, Edward Gingerich, an Amish fella,
hopped up on molasses,
hopped up on blackstrap molasses.
Black.
So I know what that is.
Yeah.
Which I guess I should probably Google that while we're talking about it so much.
It doesn't sound good.
Well, it's not helping him. So it's supposed to be like a cure-all.
What if he was be way worse without the molasses?
It's apparently a plant-based food that's rich in iron. So it's often used as a supplement to treat iron deficiency. So, I mean, for that, it's probably good.
Okay, so his iron strong.
He's got some good iron.
Might have too much iron.
Too much.
What happens? Google that. What happens to you once? Maybe we just solved it. Maybe we just fucking solved it. Too much iron in your shit makes you fucking crazy. That's going to be the official medical...
iron.
Say it again. How do you say it?
Iron.
Iron? Sounds like someone's name that like hosted an NPR show. Welcome back. I'm Iron
Jasper.
Today's NPR episode is about the wind and how it blows. So what happens when you get too much iron?
You can get something called hemochromatosis.
Okay.
It's a condition in which your body stores too much iron. Now I have a complex about the way I say iron. could cause.
I gotta stop laughing.
It could cause serious damage to your body, including to your heart, liver, and pancreas.
What could cause serious damage?
Iron.
Oh, okay.
Too much iron. How do you say it?
Iron.
Iron. No, it's iron. It's
Iron.
It's not Iran.
Iron.
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 This is a great podcast.
Like I earn
Big
money.
iron podcast. Here.
I earn money. Iron.
No, it's like Iran. Iran money.
This is gonna be the end of it.
All right.
Let's split this up.
So yeah, he is.
That was a jet plane going past the studio.
Yes.
Wow. That guy's dick must be so big.
We're pretty high up in a pretty big building where we record.
That guy had big old balls. He had to show him off by flying by in his jet.
Dude, everybody fly. This street, like, there's only...
It's not a street. We're high up in a building.
There's only like 45 feet on this street. And people go like 80 miles an hour down it.
All right. Let's get back to Ed.
So he's not doing well.
Yeah.
He hates his life. He just wants to work on like mechanical shit all the time. He doesn't really buy into the whole Amish way of life. He's kind of leaning towards Christianity because of this dude that's in his ear about it.
I mean, honestly, that's natural stuff, though, too. Like, I'm not into religion and stuff, but I'm always questioning, like, what else could make my life better, or...
Yeah, I mean, the things he's going through is not like a...
It's just, it happens to be Amish things.
Yeah.
And he ain't about that life, and that's
He's been in and out of the hospital for this kind of stuff. He's been in and out of Dr. Terrell's office for this kind of thing.
We need more foot rubs! Yeah. Rub his tummy, damn it! Tommy's a good boy!
So where we left off, he had jumped off his roof. He wanted to kill himself.
He skipped off.
It was only 10 feet.
Yeah.
So he was fine.
Yeah, he stepped off, basically.
His dad and his brother caught up to him in the buggy. They bring him back to the house. So following that, he is taken back to Doc Terrell's for another jar of blackstrap molasses and some joint manipulation.
Oh, yeah.
So, I don't know if that means like a hand job or what, but he's, moving on from the foot rubs.
But I'm scheduling myself for a joint manipulation.
So, we are now May 5th, 1992. Ed wakes up and he is in a frenzy. He smashes out a window and starts running around the house like a madman, chanting religious verses to himself. Katie's mother gets there right before noon, begs Katie to go get Ed some real help, because apparently Dr. Terrell's help is not helping. Katie was starting to kind of lose her mind, too, because of all this shit.
That'd be a lot to deal with.
She didn't want to send Ed.
Maybe she's sneaking into the molasses.
Maybe. It's hard to resist.
Her iron is too high as well.
The iron cheek.
The iron and Stimpy is just too much.
Well, see, now we're just misspelling
That's how
things.
you say iron. Iron and Stimpy.
Iron.
And Stimpy.
We gotta stop saying iron.
Okay.
So, because I don't even think it's a real word now.
So everyone's going crazy.
Yeah. So Katie finally says, okay, like
Katie
to her mom,
and Ed.
And they take. They agree they're going to take Ed to the Jones Memorial Health Center in Jamestown, New York.
Molasses free since 1876.
That's right. That's their, you wouldn't think you'd need to say that.
I know.
So by 4 o'clock, everyone except Ed knew that someone was on their way to transport.
Oh, it was 420, dude.
Almost.
We didn't talk about that.
No, we missed.
Yeah.
It seemed like a big 420 year. Like it usually just kind of comes and goes. And I noticed there was a lot of
talk.
Yeah.
I don't talk about too much.
I just think everyone's to the point where there's like, we need anything. Like, we just want to talk about anything positive. There was less people like talking shit about, like, used to you always would see, it's today everybody like pretends to be a stoner. There was less negativity this year.
Good. We need less negativity.
I feel
all
like,
around.
yeah. So,
420 for life.
So Ed's father knows, hey, when this guy gets here to take Ed to the hospital, it's not going to be.
Yeah.
Ed's not going to go quietly.
He will not go quietly into that good night.
So Ed's father and 2 of Ed's brothers sneak into Ed's room where he's sleeping on a cot, and they tie his arms and legs together. So he wakes and he's tied up. And he loses his shit.
Yeah, I mean, what would you do if you woke up and you're tied to the bed?
Yeah, I would be very upset.
The first 3 or 4 times you get mad, but then you're eventually like, you got me again. Like you start to get mad at yourself. You're like, I can't believe I got tied to a bed again.
So they they basically hog tie him, and then when the guy gets there with a van to take him to the hospital, like there's 4 people dragging him out to this van.
God dang.
So it takes them about an hour and a half to get to the hospital. Ed falls asleep while on the way there. So Ed wakes up when they get there. He says nothing as they unload him, and they go inside to the hospital. They get 2 people from there in white coats. The people that come out of the hospital are like, why the fuck is this guy hogtied and laying on the ground? So they order Ed's family to untie him, and so they do. Ed gets to his feet, and he walks inside the hospital.
Oh, I thought you were going to say he runs off.
He's just, because he's doing his thing again. This is what he did the last time.
Yeah.
He acted like he was fine, and everyone else around him.
He knows that he's got to just pretend to be normal for... a little bit, and he'll hopefully get to go home.
So he quickly gives up that plan, though.
Oh.
Because as they get into the examination room, Ed drops to the ground and begins to run all over the waiting area on all 4s. He knocks over an IV stand, chairs, tables, pans full of utensils.
Very bad boy.
Yes, he's, like an animal running around. So
bad boy.
The people from the hospital come in. There's like 4 of them. They all subdue him, pick him up, put him on the table, and within minutes of being put on the table, he's asleep. So he's having a rough day.
He wore himself out. He got all tuckered out, poor little fella.
So he sleeps for about a half hour. As soon as he wakes up, he jumps off the table and starts ripping medical appliances and cabinets off the walls. The staff, of course, run back in. The room is littered with glass, loose wires, and hospital supplies. So he's forced once again down onto the table, and the psychiatrist administers 200 milligrams of an antipsychotic drug. So the doctor asks, what seems to be the problem?
What brings you in today?
Ed replies with...
On this chart, point to the frowny face that best represents...
Ed draws a whole new one.
Yeah.
So the doctor asks Ed, hey, what seems to be the problem here today? And Ed says... I've got a bad case of liver cancer. I saw a light so bright I thought I was in hell. Do you know my brother? And then the doctor was like, no. And so then Ed responds with, when my brother blew into Katie's cunt, I saw an angel fly out of her mouth.
Wow, that's some magic.
So the doctor is just kind of stunned at this sentence. So Ed's given another injection, this time of a tranquilizer called Ativan, and he's taken into a small padded room. So he's denied visitors for the first week he's in the hospital. He's being regularly administered lithium and the antipsychotics.
The Nirvana album?
Yes. And he's subjected to numerous mental health and group therapy sessions. So by the 8th day, he's allowed to see his family. He seems to be pretty happy.
He says, no thanks.
Yeah, no, I'm good. I'll stay.
Tell him I said hi.
So he seems happy with his family. He's talking to him and everything. And then the family, though, learned that he's going to be released in 2 days.
Oh.
So Katie is like, are you fucking kidding me? They're going to let him out of here again in this such short period of time. So May 15th, 1992, Ed leaves the hospital a free man. He has a bunch of prescriptions to fill, new outpatient appointments to attend, all those things.
Simpsons episodes to watch.
Yes. Lots of stuff to catch up on.
He's like, it's almost Sunday. Did you VCR video? Oh, they're Amish. Never mind.
Yeah. So 4 days after his release from the hospital, he once again stopped taking his medication. And Katie once again was on board with this because she, again, does not believe in...
So she couldn't believe they're going to let him go after 8 days, but then 4 days later, she's like, stop taking your meds.
Yeah, makes sense.
Uh-huh.
She felt like the medicine was not helping him anyways, and that the English hospital had failed him once again. So in June of 92, the Christian man we've been referring to, David Lindsay, stops by. He preaches to Ed about redemption and urged Ed to free himself of the Amish bishop and the lifestyle and turn to Jesus for salvation. So throughout the remainder of the summer, Ed managed to behave himself. He stayed calm and collected.
WWJD, Ed.
He seemed very
WWJD.
He seemed very depressed, though,
Oh.
to everyone who was around him. So Katie decides it's time for another visit to old Doc Terrell.
Oh, maybe a little molasses is put a little pep in his step.
Because it's always worked so well.
Yeah.
So she'd completely lost faith in English doctors and felt that Doc Terrell was the only hope Ed had of ever having a normal life.
What a dumb broad.
So,
Is that a... Should I say that? Broad? Dumb
I mean,
broad?
you already said it.
I did.
And I'm not editing anything.
Okay.
So, you choose your words wisely on this podcast.
Well, that was pretty stupid, though, to take him back to this doctor.
Yeah. I mean, how do you not
And
trust...
she is a female, and a broad is also a term for a female.
How do you not trust English doctors? But you're like, yeah, this guy with blackstrap molasses and foot massages, he knows what's up. So winter approaches quickly, and, you know, it's cold as shit. So everybody's, like, just staying in... So everyone's kind of stuck inside together. Ed had not... His health had not improved since the visit to Dr. L.
Yeah.
He was refusing to take the blackstrap molasses, which was pissing off Katie, because she's a big believer in it.
Yeah. She probably is stocking it.
Probably. It was Katie's blackstrap molasses, so we should have seen this connection. So Ed's father felt like his son was a ticking time bomb and desperately wanted Ed and Katie to give modern medicine another chance.
Oh.
So on March 16th, 93, following a long talk with his father, Ed agrees...
316.
There, it's 3/16/93.
Dad's birthday.
Ed agrees to see another English doctor, as long as they promised he would not be put back in the hospital. So that evening, Ed's father arranged a meeting with Ed's brothers.
They lied to him like how you lie to a dog.
Yes.
Come on, we're going to the park, Ed. We are going to the park.
So the dad meets with the brothers. They discuss what they should do. The name Jacob Troyer was soon brought up by Ed's brother Danny. He was a 46-year-old Amish man and rumored to be a special healer. So Ed's father was a little reluctant, but after his sons convinced him, they decided, you know, what would it hurt to give this a try?
Yeah.
So the following day, Katie's 29th birthday, they have an English person show up to drive Ed and Katie and the family to Dr. Troyer. What's his name again? Jacob Troyer. So, by the time they arrived at Troyer's house, Ed was not doing well. He had complained the whole way there that he was getting sicker and sicker, kept saying the disease is so bad. So they rush to the door. Katie runs up the door, says, "My husband is sick. This is an emergency."
Is there a doctor in the house?
As soon as Troyer invites them in, Ed drops
Turns
to his
into a
knees.
vampire.
Well, he turns to a dog.
Oh, okay.
He drops to his knees and then starts crawling around on all fours again.
Did he poop?
I hope so.
Yeah. Bad boy, Ed.
As Ed's crawling around on the floor, he says, "This is nice." Talking about the floor.
Yeah. So he's tripping balls.
Troyer's young son was making his way upstairs when Ed ran over to him all of a sudden. "Do I look normal?" He yelled at the boy.
Do I still look high?
"Can you tell there's something wrong with me?"
Oh, my God.
And so the boy runs upstairs, scared
That
out of him.
boy was me.
That's the real purpose of this story.
I would have been 14.
So Troyer turns to Katie and says, "Take this man to a hospital. He needs to be put in a mental ward. I can't help him."
I'm done.
Like, look, I'm a special healer, but for fuck's sake, lady.
I'm trying to raise a kid here.
So Katie begs Troyer to at least look at him. Reluctantly, Jacob Troyer agrees and leads Ed into his examination room, I assume by a leash.
Yeah.
A short time later, they come back out. Katie has a diagnostic eye card. I don't know what that means. And 3 bottles of herbs.
Oh.
So
Sounds like a video game.
Yes, it does, actually. So Ed stood next to the healer as Katie paid him $340 for the services. As the group made their way outside towards the car, Jacob Troyer looks at Katie and says, "Your husband has a mental problem. Take him to a hospital. I'm afraid of suicide for him.
Oh.
Goodbye and good luck." You don't ever want to hear that from a doctor.
No.
Good luck out there. During the ride home, Ed grabbed his scalp and exclaimed, "Oh my God, my brain is boiling over." So at one point,
Sounds like a Monday to me.
At one point, Ed's brother rubs Ed's feet, and Ed drifts off to sleep. The Amish, they really believe in foot rubs.
Uh-huh.
Like, that is like their go-to.
I'm going to go to the Amish people and get my fucking feet rubbed.
Just walk in and be like, hey, I got a headache. I
Yeah.
could use some attention to my footsies.
Hey, pretty sure that I got like
The Edward Gingerich disease.
yeah, I'm pretty bad off. Can I get a foot rub? A little tug at the end, huh? Ezekiel, huh?
Tug.
Huh? Want to churn some butter, huh?
Why'd you turn it into an anime character?
Huh?
So, on the morning of March 18th, 93, Ed was still in bed around 9 o'clock in the morning. He's, of course, paying no attention to Katie or the children.
Yeah.
They head out for the day, and they're going to a wedding. There's a local dude getting married. Katie didn't even bother to tell Ed about any of this because
Do you, dude, take this chick
she doesn't really want
to
Ed
vibe with forever?
around. So Ed stays at home. He has a lot on his mind. Decides to visit his father to see if he could help him make some sense out of everything.
Oh, I hope he doesn't kill his dad.
Ed didn't knock as he reached the front door and walked right into the father's house.
Yeah, that's how you do.
Ed pulls up a chair as his dad walks into the room, and as soon as his dad walks in, Ed looks at him and says, Katie's trying to poison me. So his father's like, Ed, everybody loves you. No one's trying to poison you. And he responds
That's
with...
my chair.
He responds with, even God hates me. It's my chemicals. They're all out of balance.
And that's how emo was started.
That's how emo got
Wow.
started. This is the story of emo.
Okay.
So then Ed's father just pauses and then tells Ed, the best thing is to ask God to forgive you. And Ed says, God won't respond because I am possessed by the devil. I can hear the devil's voice. It's a woman's voice, not God's. I don't hear God. And then Ed's father says, you will if you listen for it. And Ed, I am listening, but all I hear is the devil.
Oh.
And then he leaves.
What if God was one of us?
Edward Gingerich is
on the bus.
So upon his arrival back home, Katie informs Ed that there was another man on their way to take him to once again see Dr. L.
God damn.
Ed says, all right, I'm fine with that. So they go once again. Ed, though, was beginning to hate Dr. L's techniques and made no effort.
You can only rub a foot so
Yeah.
much.
As he walked in the examination room, he says, if you can't cure me, just say so.
Yeah.
And Terrell replies, I'm giving you liver pills. Take the pills. Ed says, I don't want liver pills. Give me something stronger for my headaches. I can't go on like this. And Terrell responds with, drugs are not the answer. No drugs. Foot rubs and black molasses.
No drugs for you.
With that said, Terrell massaged Ed's scalp and ushered him out the door with a
Man, let me
bottle
give you these hands.
of liver pills. So, Katie and Ed's brothers then took turns babysitting Ed throughout the day. That way everybody else could have their chance to go to that wedding that's happening and the reception and all that. So everyone except Ed had agreed to this plan, so they decided that they just weren't going to tell Ed about the plan until the last minute. So Ed's brother, Danny...
That's the best way to deal with
Yes.
problems.
Especially somebody with mental issues.
Absolutely.
Don't key them in.
Yeah.
Ed's brother, Danny, had been watching the children while Katie and Ed visited Dr. L. As their English driver pulled into Ed's brother's driveway, Katie invited him and his girlfriend inside for lunch. Everyone sat down at the dinner table. No one was paying any attention to Ed. Nonetheless, as everyone began talking about the wedding, Ed blurts out, I'm coming with you tonight. And Katie said, you can't go, you're too sick. I have to go, Ed said. Why? Katie asked. It's the only way I can be saved. Katie said, no, we've talked about this, and you're not going, you need your sleep. And he says, I know who you are, you're the devil.
I thought Ed was the devil. All you hear is the devil,
Yeah,
and it's a
and
female
it's-
voice, and it's Katie.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So silence takes over the room. No one speaks for a few minutes. Finally, Ed says, there goes the moon right into the sea. So the English neighbors who drove them there didn't know what the hell was going on. So,
Is that good for
so they
some
left.
shit? This is getting weird.
So once they leave, Danny, Ed's brother, takes everyone back to Ed's house. And as soon as they get there, Ed just says he wants to go to bed. He doesn't want to hurt anybody. He loves everybody. And then he goes upstairs and goes to bed.
I definitely won't hurt anybody.
No, I don't.
I'm going to bed.
Scout's honor.
I don't want to hurt anybody. I don't want to. I'm not going to.
So he takes a nap, and then he stumbles back down
Miny,
into the kitchen.
Catch a devil by the toe.
Yells that he has to go to the wedding. It's the only way I can save my soul.
It's the sexual event of the season. What will they say if I don't show?
She says, no, you're not going. You're too sick. You won't even take your medicine. And he says, because you're trying to poison me. I have the devil in me, and you're trying to kill the devil. So Ed realizes he's not going to win this argument, so he lays back down on the cot.
Smart man.
Danny had to finish some chores. Promised Katie, though, he'd return as soon as they were finished. So as the children played on the floor, Katie stood in front of the sink and began to wash the dishes. She turned around, and Ed was standing right there, towering over her, which is straight out of a damn horror movie.
Yeah.
So she says, what's wrong? And he ignores her question, takes 2 steps back, and then slams his fist directly into her face.
Oh.
She's immediately knocked to the floor, and she's just pouring blood out of her face.
I was with that up until that point right there.
So then she asks, why did you do this? And he says, I am the devil. So he's decided, you know what? I'm not hearing the devil's voice.
Yeah,
I am the devil.
He is the devil now.
The
devil works in mysterious ways.
Ed and Katie's young daughter, Mary, begin crying.
Oh, yeah, that sucks, man.
Their son, Danny, just stood there, didn't know what to do. Katie said, Danny, go get Uncle Dan. Tell him Daddy is sick. Hurry. So Danny takes off, running out the front door, leaving his mother bleeding on the floor at his father's feet. The other kids are too afraid to run. They just stand there and watch. So Danny takes off. He's running through the snow to get to Uncle Danny's house. He goes in the front door and yells, Daddy isn't feeling good.
Mom can't take a punch.
Uncle Danny didn't even bother. Like, he just said, like, he just grabs the nephew and they take off back because he knows shit's going down. So when Danny went inside his brother's house, he was overwhelmed with terror. Katie was laying stretched out and motionless on the floor. Ed had her pinned down with his knees and was madly pounding her in the face with his fists.
Jesus.
So Ed's brother screams, "What are you doing? Get off of her." Ed stood up and coolly replied, "This is what she deserves."
Damn.
He then lifted up his right foot and stomped it down on Katie's face as hard as he could. Blood splattered all over the room, and Ed paused momentarily before dropping back down and resuming punching her in the face. Danny lunged at Ed, knocked him off Katie. The two men wrestled on the floor before they both jumped back up, and the look on Ed's face told Danny that he was going to be nixed if he didn't get out of the house. So Danny ran out of the house, mounts his mare, and quickly rides to the closest English farm to call 911. So he gets to the house. He asks to use the telephone. He dials 911. The operator asks, "What's your emergency?" And he says, "A murder is being occurred. My brother is killing his wife." He gives him the address. And Danny says, "I'll meet you at the Sturgis and Frisbeetown intersection and lead you there." So
you'll recognize me by my mare.
So following the brief scuffle with Danny, Ed, left alone with the kids and Katie, pulls on his work boots, walks back over to Katie, and begins crushing his foot down on her head.
Puts his work boots on. Mm-hmm. Jesus.
His two young children could only stand there and stare on in horror. The right side of Katie's face had caved in, and her brains were spilling out onto the floor. After a few minutes, Ed drops to his knees, undresses Katie's body. Once all of her clothes were removed, he took a steak knife from the kitchen and used it to make a 7-inch incision in her lower abdomen. Through the incision, Ed reached his hands up inside Katie's body cavity and removed her lungs, kidneys, stomach, liver, spleen, bladder, uterus, and heart, stacked them all up in a pile next to her body, and then stuck the knife into the top of them. He then stood up, admired his work, washed himself up, threw the Bible into the fireplace, and told the children to put their coats on. "I'm taking you to Granddad's," he said, "and then I'm coming back to burn the house down." So the paramedics and everybody meet at the intersection. The police they're told not to enter Ed's house until the state police arrived. So that took a while. So as the sun is setting and the paramedics are waiting to go in because that's what they've been ordered to do, Ed is spotted walking down the roads towards them. He was carrying a little girl and leading a small boy by the hand. As Ed approached, one of the paramedics spoke up. "Where are you heading?" "I'm going to my dad's house," Ed replied. "Where's your wife?" And Ed just replies, "You wouldn't understand." So since Ed was no longer in the house, the paramedics decided that one of them would follow Ed while the other one went up to the house. So the paramedics were immediately struck by the odor of death as they stepped inside. Upon entering the kitchen, they stood speechless.
Her open. Jesus.
Yeah. There's, of course, nothing they can do. She is dead. So,
I shouldn't even. Did they try to massage your feet?
If Dr. L was there, he would have just been
This is just the most awful shit I've ever heard.
He would have poured a bottle of blackstrap molasses in her and then massaged it into her and then just waited.
Oh,
and then he would have been dumbfounded that she didn't come back to life.
Jesus, that guy's a maniac.
So, Pennsylvania State Police Trooper Robert Rouse was the first officer to arrive at the intersection. As Dan explains to the officer what had happened, Ed walks over and speaks up. "I'm the bad man you're looking for." Trooper Rouse took Ed by the arm and placed him in the backseat of his patrol car. After the officer called in for backup, he asked Ed to step out of the car and remove his boots and coat. As Ed took off his coat, a bloody chunk of flesh fell out of his sleeve and landed on the officer's foot. The officer then commanded Ed to get back into the car.
What the fuck? He had part of her
still in his coat. So within an hour of Katie's murder, homicide detectives, crime scene investigators, and members of the media were swarming all over the Brown Hill settlement. Nearly all of the Amish families and visitors were still at the wedding reception and were unaware of the events unfolding around them. After giving a statement to the investigators, Ed's brother walked slowly to the home where the reception was being held. As he walked inside, he said, "Can I have your attention? Ed Gingerich just killed Katie. He killed his wife." Following the crime scene investigation, detectives interviewed Ed back at the police station. After being read his Miranda rights, Ed signed a waiver from Lord Willing. Ed signed a waiver form, Lord Willing. So I guess agreed to everything or whatever.
Probably just gave up any rights.
Yeah. The initial session was unrecorded, and afterwards Ed was driven to Cambridge Springs and arraigned. By 1 o'clock in the morning, the men were back in the interrogation room, and a tape recorder was placed in front of Ed. The recorder was turned on.
I hope they beat the shit out of him.
For that time in between.
Yeah.
The recorder was turned on, and one of the investigators began speaking. "Ed, do you know what a tape recorder is?" "Uh-huh. I explained to you, and I read you that form that says you have the right to remain silent, whatnot. You remember that? Do you understand?" Ed stared at the investigator and then shook his head no. "You don't understand. You understand that stuff you say can be held against you about what went on today. Do you understand that?" "How do you mean?" says Ed. "Well, things that you say can be held against you in a court of law. Do you understand?" "Yeah, and religion. Law and religion. And you have the right to an attorney. You understand what an attorney is?" "Yeah. So you understand that?" "Yeah, but in our religion we would not have done that. We have to go by the law, and the law says I have to tell you this. Do you understand?" "No." "You have the right to an attorney. You understand that?" "Yeah. What I'm thinking, my mind is confused. I'm going to tell you that right now. But the reason we don't use the number, the Social Security number, because of the beast. The beast somewhere, the computer. In fact, we can feel it track our minds." Ed was clearly out of his damn mind at this time.
He's flipped.
So the interrogators try to get him back on track. Again, they asked, "Do you understand what the paper was that you signed?" And he says, "Yeah." He goes, "Okay, I want to try and understand this exactly how it happened. Why did you kill Katie?" Ed said, "For some reason. I think we can still save her, though." And they reply back, "No, we cannot save her. Katie is dead, and you know that she's dead." And he says, "Yeah, I know. Why did I kill her, though?" And he goes, "Why did I kill her? Well, because I thought it was a gain." And they said, "A gain for who?" And he says, "A gain for us people." They say, "For all of the people?" "Yeah, not just for my people, for all of the people." And they said, "Why?" And he says, because if I can get back on track, it will come yet. And the officer says, maybe you can explain to me why you felt that you had to remove Katie's brain and work your way from the brain down? Explain that to me. And then he says, you know, how we, the human beings, were made? And the investigator says, yeah, from the top down. And he says, yeah, that's right. I had it in my mind that if I worked from the top down. And then he stopped, and he says, I'm so lost, I don't know what to say. So the remainder of the interrogation lasted about an hour. Ed tried his best to describe the murder and his problems prior to the murder. Most of his statements, though, were bizarre and incomprehensible. Regardless of how it turned out, the investigators were happy and considered the case closed. He was taken to the Crawford County Jail around 2 in the morning and placed in a holding cell. Following an autopsy, Katie's remains were delivered to Ed's father's house. Normally, an Amish wake is held at the deceased's residence. However, due to the circumstances surrounding her death, it was decided that it would be best held at Ed's father's house. So while the men saw to the digging of Katie's grave, her mother and sisters took it upon themselves to wash and prepare Katie's body. Rather than dress her in a wedding gown, Katie's body was wrapped in black linen and placed in a pine coffin. The coffin was then bridged across 2 chairs for the eventual viewing the following day. As preparations for Katie's funeral were taking place, Ed was moved from the jail to a state mental hospital in North Warren, Pennsylvania, for a psychiatric evaluation. During the move, Ed suspected that the officers were taking him to the woods to shoot him, and argued with them briefly before finally agreeing to cooperate. So he probably was like at first not wanting to get shot, and then he was like, you know what, if that's what you're going to do, fucking do it.
I have to worry about that when I'm riding with somebody and we're going somewhere. I'm like, they're just going to pull off into the woods somewhere.
Well, like, especially when we're out on a back road somewhere and the person driving just keeps listening to Kiss. And I'm just getting more and more pissed off in the backseat.
Talk about a nightmare.
And it's just this guy I don't know. And, like, you know, I'm probably going to fight him on a back road somewhere if he doesn't just fucking get us back to where we started. But anyways.
Yeah.
So... let me see.
Inside story.
Over 200 friends and family members gathered to pay their respects to Katie. Following the burial, everyone had gathered back at the elder Gingerich's farm for a funeral dinner. That evening, at the request of Danny Gingerich, Katie and Ed's families gathered in the living room at Ed's house. The horror which Danny had witnessed was eating him up inside, and he had to get it off his chest. As everyone gathered around, Danny recounted the events that had transpired in the house just days earlier. Danny felt terrible about leaving Katie and the children behind to seek help, and he wanted everyone to understand why. Danny told those in attendance that just prior to running out of the house, he saw a figure next to Ed, which terrified him. Someone asked him what he saw, and he said, standing right next to Ed, in the flesh, I saw Satan himself. The devil was standing right next to Ed. So, you know, it's whatever you need to cope with.
Yeah.
The reason
I mean,
why
that had
ran
to have
off.
been a horrific scene to stumble upon.
Yeah.
And then to see him just stomp her fucking face, man. Jeez.
And like he said that he tackled him, and when they stood back up, he could tell just by the way Ed was looking at him, like, oh, he's gonna fucking kill me.
Yeah.
So
Heartwarming tale, man. Jeez.
So even though insanity defenses have a very low success rate in the United States, Ed's attorneys were busy laying the groundwork for such a defense. In establishing why Ed was insane, the attorneys considered 2 possibilities. Ed's psychosis was a result of Amish inbreeding, or his brain had been damaged by the prolonged exposure to the toxic fumes from that stuff he used called gunk.
Yeah.
In his mechanic workshop.
And his iron work.
So on October 2nd, 1993, Ed's attorneys at a routine pretrial discovery hearing.
Too much brutality.
Right. I mean, like putting your boots on too.
Yeah.
Like he knew what was happening.
Yeah, he stopped. Like, how could I make this worse?
Yeah.
I mean, Jesus.
Like, how can I protect my feet from getting hurt? Because Doc Terrell is not going to enjoy that I did this without covering my feet.
Oh, sure. All that hard work.
So, yeah, Ed's attorneys were trying to prepare the insanity defense. In January, Dr. Lawson F. Bernstein, Jr., a professor of psychiatry at the University of Pittsburgh, was hired by the defense. Following his review of Ed's confession and a one-on-one interview with the defendant, Dr. Bernstein determined that Ed lacked the mental capacity to appreciate the nature of his act and therefore could not discern right from wrong. As the defense team worked to build their insanity defense, the prosecution was busy seeking experts of its own to debunk the plea. In February, the prosecution sent the psychiatric reports to Dr. Philip J. Resnick, a professor of psychiatry in Cleveland. The result, however, was not good. In a March letter to the prosecution, Dr. Resnick wrote, "It is my opinion that the authors of the reports had a reasonable basis for concluding that Mr. Gingerich was severely ill and did not know the wrongfulness of killing his wife at the time of the homicide." So with the trial date approaching, the prosecution offered the defense a plea bargain. They would accept a plea of mentally ill, but guilty of murder in the third degree in exchange for a sentence of 10 years. Ed would then be eligible for parole after serving just 5 years behind bars.
What?
Nonetheless, the defense felt that the prosecution would lose their case at trial and declined the offer. The defense, however, was unaware that a monkey wrench was about to be thrown into their plans. Ed's attorneys had taken it for granted that his family would be willing to stand behind him and testify on his behalf, and the prosecution had
How
done...
could anyone testify on that
Yeah.
behalf after what he did?
However, the Amish community treated both the defense and prosecution with hostility, and every member refused to testify unless subpoenaed by the court.
And they said, "Now testify!"
So on the morning of March 24th, 1994, at the Crawford County Courthouse in Meadville, Pennsylvania, I've wrestled there. Not the courthouse, but in Meadville. The trial of Edward D. Gingerich began. Whether anyone at the time realized it or not, this was a precedent-setting event and would mark the first Amish murder trial in United States judicial history. Head prosecutor Douglas Ferguson opened with a brief address consisting of the events leading up to Katie's death and Ed's arrest. He stressed to the jury that Ed was not legally insane at the time of the murder and should not be excused for his actions. Donald E. Lewis, appointed by the court to represent Ed, was one of the most successful criminal defense attorneys in the region and wasted little time getting directly to the point as he took the lectern. "We are here to hear testimony that will stay with us forever. I am honored to be able to represent Edward Gingerich to protect his rights during this traumatic time in his life. Together we will search for the truth because that is what a trial is about. A search for the truth." And then he patted his sweaty head.
Yeah.
Lewis went on to describe Ed's exposure
declare.
to the gunk fumes and his lengthy mental illness. Following Lewis's opening speech, the court declared a 10-minute recess so the prosecution could prepare. As the jury filed back into the courtroom, they were greeted by the Commonwealth's first exhibit, a childlike drawing depicting Katie's corpse produced specially for the jury. The prosecution had made a dire misjudgment in keeping the crime scene photos from the jury. So instead of seeing the actual pictures, they draw like some shitty in my head, I'm imagining like a stick figure,
Yeah.
and like little circles with like representing the organs, like.
Yeah.
So yeah, the jury never sees like what actually happened. Because you imagine if the jury sees the pictures, there's no fucking way they're not prosecuting that guy.
Yeah. How do you know?
Or convicting him.
That would be like if I was the prosecutor, I would just show that.
Yeah, like here's what happened.
Bring a watermelon in and stomp it. And be like, that's like that guy on the TikTok that does something and then like puts his hands out.
Yeah.
Like, well,
On the TikTok. You certainly are middle-aged.
how did I just say that? Oh man.
Keeping the name of the show alive.
Yeah.
So the prosecution's first witness was Dr. Carl Williams, a forensic pathologist from Elwood City, Pennsylvania. Even though he had not performed Katie's autopsy, he was called to testify to the reports. The doctor who performed the actual autopsy had since left the county to work in another state. The fact that the prosecution did not bother to bring in the doctor who actually did the autopsy was another disturbing blunder on their part. This error, in combination with the childlike drawing, suggested that the prosecution placed little importance on their evidence. Following Dr. Williams' explanation of the autopsy report, Dr. Terrell, wearing a blue suit, 5-gallon Stetson hat, and cowboy boots, was called to the stand and questioned about the day of Katie's murder. The prosecutor, I believe, or the I think it's the prosecutor, asked, "Did you treat him on that occasion, the day of Katie's murder?" "Yes, I adjusted the patient's head." "How did you do that?" "I manipulated the scalp."
Oh.
"Did Ed appear different that day?" "No." "He was acting normal?" "Yes." "You saw no signs of mental illness?" "No." "I have no further questions." Then the defense cross-examined Dr. Terrell. "How long have you been treating the defendant?" "Several years," Terrell replied. "You were treating him for emotional problems?" "Yes." "And what was your diagnosis?" "He had a virus in his brain." They questioned him. "Are you a psychiatrist?" "No." "Are you a medical doctor?" "No." "Are you a psychologist?" "No." "Then why were you treating Ed for depression?" "Because he complained about it." And they said,
It's a hobby.
Because he complained about it? Yeah. "You were treating Ed for emotional problems?" "Yeah." "I have no further questions for you."
You.
So while Dr. Terrell did little to help the prosecution, they were certain their next witness would turn things in their favor. Their next witness was Katie's mother, Emma Shetler. She had been subpoenaed, so she showed up. As she made her way to the stand, Ed began to cry. So Ferguson asks her, how did the defendant and his wife, the victim, get along? She says, "I don't know how to answer that." "Okay, well, when was the last time you saw the defendant before Katie's death?" "He was putting up ice." "At your house?" "Yes." "Did you notice anything unusual about him?" "No." Ferguson asked a few more questions and then turned Emma over to the defense. And they didn't bother cross-examining because she didn't offer anything.
Yeah.
So, Danny Gingerich was the next witness called by the prosecution. During his testimony, he chronicled the events that took place the day of Katie's death and was asked to read the statement he had given to the police on the night of her murder. On cross-examination, the defense questioned Dan about his brother's mental problems and their trip to Jacob Troyer's, the healer, his home. Following Danny's testimony, the prosecution called an English sawmill customer to testify to Ed's state of mind, and the two Pennsylvania state troopers to recount the events following Ed's arrest and confession. With all the testimony complete, Prosecutor Ferguson announced that the Commonwealth had rested its case. Don Lewis of the defense could not believe what he was hearing. The prosecution did not bother to produce one psychiatrist to testify to Ed's sanity. They didn't produce a toxicologist to debunk the gunk theory, or any of the Mill Village paramedics to describe the horrid crime scene. The jury was left with very little knowledge of who Katie was and how she had suffered. The basis for Ed's defense relied heavily on proving that he was in a severe mental state while committing his crime. To do this, Don Lewis relied upon testimony from Dr. Bernstein and Dr. John Spikes, a toxicologist from Philly. Dr. Spikes testified that the gunk fumes had caused organic brain syndrome, a condition which existed at the time of Katie's murder. Douglas Ferguson's cross-examination of Dr. Spike was about as comprehensive as the case he had earlier presented. "Have you ever spoken to the defendant?" Ferguson asked. "No," Dr. Spikes replied. "Did you question anybody who saw the defendant on the day of the killing?" "No." "Then everything you know about the defendant has come from Attorney Lewis?" "Yes." "Do you know if the defendant uses other products besides gunk to clean engines?" "No." "Do some furniture polishing products contain the same chemicals?" "Yeah, all things are toxic, some more than others." "Are skin rashes always a symptom?" "No, but often. The organs remain affected after the chemicals have passed through the system." Ferguson announced he has no further questions. So once again, they don't really get any information.
Yeah.
By the end of the defense's case, they had put 14 witnesses before the jury, twice as many as the prosecution. So Don Lewis was the first to present closing arguments. Facing the jury, he began, "One who has been responsible all his life doesn't do something like this. The prosecutors say that Ed Gingerich knew what he was doing when he killed his wife, Katie. They ask you to believe that this Amish man had killed his wife because she told him he couldn't go to a wedding. There is one issue in this case. What was the defendant's mental condition at the time of Katie Gingerich's death? What was in his mind? What was his intent?" In closing, Lewis pointed out the lack of professional testimony by the prosecution and the apparent weakness of the case they presented. Following closing arguments, the judge explained the difference between degrees of murder and explained the definition of insanity. The jury was then released for deliberations. They deliberated for hours before informing the court they had reached a decision. The judge asked them if they had reached a verdict. "We have, Your Honor," the jury foreman replied as he handed over the verdict slip. The judge read the slip and handed it back over to the jury foreman. Ed was then asked to rise and face the jury. In the case of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania
I'm on the edge of my seat.
versus Edward D. Gingerich
Yeah?
on the charge of criminal homicide,
Yeah?
how do you find? We find the defendant,
Yeah.
Edward D. Gingerich,
What?
guilty
Yes!
of involuntary manslaughter, but
Oh?
mentally ill. After the verdict was read, the judge set the sentencing for May 2nd, 94, and adjourned. So the sentencing hearing for Edward Gingerich was held on May 2nd. Following the psychiatric evaluation, the prosecution shocked everyone present by handing Bishop Shetler's petition. The bishop had wrote a petition asking that they keep Ed in the Warren County mental ward for good. So, defense had presumed the hearing would be routine and were not prepared for Ed's own people to take such a strong stance against him. Upon reviewing the information presented to him and listening to statements from both sides, the judge asked Ed if he had anything to say on his behalf. Ed stood up and said, "All I can say is, I'm sorry to all the community that this has happened." He then returned to his seat. Following Ed's brief statement to the court, he was sentenced to a minimum term of 2.5 years and a maximum of 5 years with credit for time served
Fuck out of here!
since his May 19th, 1993 incarceration.
Is he all right now?
Hence, Ed would be eligible for parole by late 95. While the defense team was upset with the verdict, even though I don't know what more you fucking expect,
Yeah.
they also knew it could have been much worse. A week after Ed's sentencing, on May 9th, 1994, Katie's father got up from dinner, told everyone that he wished he could see his daughter, went to bed, and never woke up.
Damn.
A few days later, he was buried next to Katie.
He died from a broken heart.
Does sound that way. In November of 1994, Ed claimed to have a visit from God. He was granted forgiveness for his crimes. That's nice of God.
Oh, yeah.
Ed wrote about his experiences soon after it occurred. It makes me
that
feel
guy.
like singing and to shoot for joy. I do not shout. Oh, he meant shout.
Yeah.
I do not shout because of my surroundings, but I do sing something I have not felt like or done these last perilous few years. Edward Gingerich was denied his first bid for parole in December 95. However, on March 19th, 1998, at the age of 34, and having served his full sentence, he was released from the state correctional
Oh,
institution
my God.
in Cambridge
They
Springs,
should have cut
Pennsylvania.
his feet off.
He was not welcome back in Brown Hill,
No?
so he moved.
People remembered.
He moved into Harmony Haven in Michigan, which is a community for troubled Amish.
Amish.
At the time of this writing, which is where I'm getting the story from, the writing is, he lives there and works in a local machine shop.
Let's go.
Ed's parents continue to care for his children. Many in the community claim that Ed is not a threat. However, many in the community are afraid of him still. It has been reported by those close to him that he has had several relapses since his release and has displayed his old personality on those occasions. However, I have an update since this has been written.
Uh-huh.
So in January of 2011, Gingerich was found hanged in a barn
Oh.
in Cambridge Springs, Pennsylvania, where he had been living with his attorney. He wrote, "Forgive me, please," in dust atop a bucket before dying from suicide. That is the story of Edward Gingerich.
I hope someone stomped his fucking head in
Yeah.
when they found him.
I kind of hope somebody hung him.
Yeah.
Not a
Yeah.
suicide, but...
That guy's a real dick.
So, stomps his wife's head in, and he gets 5 years.
Do they just not give a fuck about the Amish?
I-
I mean, that's...
There's people that had,
insane.
an ounce of pot on them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who are still in prison because of it.
This guy stops, puts boots on, goes back,
Cuts
cuts her open in front of his children.
Yeah.
I mean, what the fuck are the children like now?
Let's go ahead and say, yeah, he was mentally ill, but he should have been kept in a goddamn institution for the rest of his life. So, yeah, pretty, I mean, Doc Terrell probably should be, something should happen to that guy.
Yeah.
I don't know what.
Put a warning on molasses.
I guess he wasn't technically doing anything.
He wasn't going to them and forcing them. They kept coming to him.
Yeah, I guess if people come to you and be like, he'll give you money for your bullshit foot massages over and over again, then Yeah, so pretty crazy. First Amish homicide. Well, first one where there was an arrest. Who knows if it happens more often,
Yeah.
but, I don't think it's a common thing.
If you're out there and you're Amish and, don't kill people.
Yeah. Just
be cool,
keep
man.
doing what you're doing.
Just be cool.
So, I think we could probably all take a lesson or two from the Amish.
Yeah.
In the way that they live, and only one murder that was highly publicized in however many years. So, a happy note to end on there.
Yeah.
He did die. He did. All right. Well, that was our first two-parter in a while.
Yeah, it was dark.
It got real dark.
Like there's no murder in the first one, and a lot of murder.
Yeah,
it's only one murder,
like
but
one
man.
horrific murder.
Yeah, that's fucked up.
Anything else?
I'm just kind of dumbfounded over the short prison term.
Yeah. So, all right. Well,
I'm just dumbfounded.
We'll be back soon.
Okay. I'll still be dumbfounded.
Yeah. Joel will remain dumbfounded.
We'll be back soon.
Don't forget May 14th, Marietta, Ohio.
Yeah. I forgot.
Quality Inn?
Yep.
Yeah, Quality Inn.
7 o'clock until question mark. Comedy and karaoke.
Do the $10, there's a suggestion of $10 at the door. Go ahead and do the $10. Or buy some things.
Yeah, whatever they're going to be doing there.
Keep an eye out on our social media I'll post the link to the Tripped Up Trivia.
Keep an ear open for my voice out in public.
Yes. Make it awkward.
Yeah.
And until next time, thank you guys for listening, and we will talk to you all later.
Bye.